The first thing I noticed that morning wasn't that she was missing from bed. It wasn't that her phone was still charging by the nightstand, or that her wedding ring was sitting on top of my watch. It was the yellow mug. It was on the table, full of hot coffee. She doesn't drink coffee. That stupid yellow mug was the one I bought for myself at a roadside diner in Wyoming after our car broke down on the honeymoon. I drank from it every morning. She always hated it, said it looked like something a depressed clown would sip soup from. But there it was, sitting neatly on a coaster, full and steaming. I stared at it like it was some kind of omen. Then I noticed the folded napkin beneath it. I had to squint. It wasn't a napkin, it was the back of a receipt. From a bar. Scrawled across it in black eyeliner were 7 words. Don't freak out. I needed to live. Not signed. Just those words. Just that. No apology. No explanation. No time of return. I didn't sit down. I didn't sip the coffee. I didn't even touch the paper. I just stood there, staring at that mug like it would start talking. By noon, I'd received one text from her. You probably hate me. I'll explain tonight. Just remember I love you. That was all. But by 2 p.m., I had already seen the photos. I wasn't even looking for them. It was her cousin, Dana, who posted them. Publicly. Like an idiot. A rooftop bar. Sparklers. Dancing. Then a hotel hallway. Then a bathroom mirror selfie. Then a guy's arm wrapped around her waist, not mine. He had one of those awful sleeve tattoos she always claimed to find so cliché. She was smiling into the camera. Lipstick smeared. His hand was low. Way too low. I didn't need confirmation. She had gone to the bachelorette party. She had slept with someone. And she had left me a note in my favorite mug to say she needed to live. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even respond to her message. Instead, I did one thing. I turned off my phone, locked the front door, packed a single bag, and left. I left the yellow mug exactly where it was. Still full. Still hot. Still waiting for someone who wasn't me. I didn't drive anywhere in particular. I just kept going. Gas station. Highway. Back roads. I passed an old train yard where we once took photos together, years ago, before we were married enough to destroy each other with love. I didn't feel like that guy anymore. That guy used to hope. I just wanted to disappear without saying a word. I didn't have a destination. But I knew I couldn't be in that house when she walked through the door with whatever excuse she'd rehearsed in the car mirror. By the time the sun dipped behind the hills, I was 3 towns away, parked behind an abandoned grocery store, eating dry trail mix with my feet on the dashboard. My phone buzzed again. Then again. Then again. 22 texts. 4 missed calls. 1 voicemail. I didn't listen to any of them. I let the silence answer her first. She didn't know where I'd gone. That was the first win. She was used to me folding. To me being soft. Predictable. Apologizing for things I hadn't even done just to keep the peace. But not this time. This time, I wanted her to wonder. So I kept driving. At some point after midnight, I stopped at a roadside inn with flickering neon. Paid in cash. I told the clerk my name was Hal. That was the name of my grandfather. The one who left his wife when she cheated and never looked back. She used to call him a coward. I used to think he was bitter. Now I thought he was a prophet. The room smelled like bleach and despair, but the water ran hot. I stood in the shower for a full 20 minutes, trying to figure out if I was mourning a wife or a version of myself I couldn't get back. When I got out, my phone was blinking again. I finally opened it. 10:53 p.m. Ray. Please just come home. I didn't sleep with him, I swear. It wasn't like that. I just kissed him. It got out of hand. But I stopped it. Please just talk to me. 11:02 p.m. Ray. Okay. Yes. I did. I slept with him. I'm sorry. But it was one time. I needed to feel like I wasn't suffocating. It meant nothing. I swear to you, it was stupid and drunk and empty. I don't even know his last name. 11:05 p.m. Ray. You're scaring me now. Can you just say something? Anything. 12:18 a.m. Ray. Why are you doing this to me? The last one made me laugh out loud. A sharp, pathetic laugh. Why was I doing this to her? This was the same woman who called me her rock during her vows. The one who insisted on separate finances for independence and told her friends I was too sensitive for his own good, not knowing I could hear them through the bathroom vent. I didn't reply, but I did something else. I went back through my phone and found a number I hadn't used in years. Parker, my friend from college. We lost touch after he moved to Oregon and I got married. Ray didn't like him. Said he was a bad influence. Said he never took anything seriously. Parker picked up after 2 rings. Jamie? Holy crap, man. Is that you? His voice felt like a time capsule cracking open. I didn't explain everything, just enough. I need a place to crash. Just for a few days. He didn't hesitate. You still hate beer? I laughed quietly. Still hate it. Good. I've got bourbon now. And just like that, I had a destination. I packed up the little motel soap, slid my ring into the glove compartment, and drove through the night. As the miles piled up between me and the house I once called home, I realized something. I wasn't running. I was building momentum. And I had no intention of stopping. Parker's house was nestled in a quiet suburb outside Salem, Oregon. Not fancy, not minimal, just real. Lived in. Honest. It smelled like coffee and old books. There was a cracked photo of us from college still on his shelf, right next to a half-full bottle of bourbon. Ray never liked Parker's place. Said it made her itchy, like a man cave for emotionally stunted teenagers. Which, in hindsight, should have been my first clue she hated men who didn't worship her. When I arrived, he didn't ask for details. He opened the door, hugged me once, tight, like brothers do, then handed me a glass and said, "You talk when you're ready. Not before." We sat in silence for a while. The only sound was the ticking of his kitchen clock and the occasional creak of the floorboards above when his dog shifted in his sleep. I finally broke. She cheated on me, Park. He didn't flinch. Didn't give me the typical "no way, bro," or "are you sure?" Instead, he nodded slowly and said, "With who?" "I don't know his name," I admitted. "I think he was at the bachelorette party. A friend of a friend. I only saw one photo." I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshot. The grainy image of Ray pressed up against tattoo guy in a mirror selfie. Her lipstick smeared like she had wiped her mouth quickly after something she didn't want documented. Parker leaned in and squinted. Then he exhaled hard and looked away. "What?" I asked. He didn't answer at first. Then he stood up, went to his cabinet, and poured himself another shot. "I think I've seen him before," he said finally. I froze. "Where?" "Back in the day. Not in person, online. I think he used to model. One of those bad boy types on Instagram. I only noticed because Ray followed him. Years ago." That stung in a weird way. Not just because Ray had followed him, but because Parker had remembered, had connected the dots before I did. "I thought she unfollowed all those accounts after we got married." I muttered, more to myself than to him. "Dude," he said slowly, "she unfollowed them publicly. Doesn't mean she didn't make a second account." That's when it hit me. The throwaway account. I'd seen it before. Months ago, Ray once logged into our smart TV and forgot to log out. There was a user called at Seashell Girl 1989. I assumed it was her old Tumblr or some Pinterest junk. But now it felt like a hidden room I never tried to open. I excused myself, went into Parker's guest room, and started digging. It didn't take long. The email associated with the throwaway account? A version of her maiden name she hadn't used since college. The recovery phone number? Burnout. A prepaid number she once used to avoid spam, according to her. Within minutes, I was looking at a stream of private messages that made my stomach turn. Late-night flirty comments. Fire emojis. Heart reacts. Private stories. One message in particular stood out, dated 2 months ago. "Don't worry, I'll make the bachelorette weekend worth the wait, winking face." No name. No context. Just that. She had been planning this. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't one drink too many. She had gone into that weekend knowing what she was going to do. Probably even who she was going to do. And the worst part? I had slept next to her the night before. Kissed her goodnight while she was already mentally packing her lingerie for someone else. I walked back into Parker's living room and dropped my phone on the table. "She planned it," I said, my voice dry. He didn't say anything. Just poured another drink and turned down the music playing in the background. Then he asked a question I wasn't ready for. "Do you want her back?" The silence between us felt like an entire courtroom waiting for a verdict. And my answer? I didn't know. But I did know one thing. If she wanted closure, she'd have to earn it. Not with tears. Not with apologies. But with truth, the kind that costs something. I woke up the next morning to a text from Ray. I hadn't spoken to her since the night I left. I didn't know how long I could keep up the silence. But that's the thing about silences. They stretch. They twist. They become something else entirely. "Please come home. Let's talk. I'm scared you'll leave me for good. I don't know how to fix this, but I'm ready to listen." I stared at the words on my phone, trying to make sense of them. She wasn't begging yet. That would come later. Right now, it was just a statement. A hollow attempt to fix what couldn't be fixed with words. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream, to tell her how much I hated her for what she'd done. But I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt empty. Like all the love I had for her had been siphoned out, leaving a hollow shell that couldn't even muster the energy to feel betrayed. Parker noticed the moment I came downstairs. His eyes were bleary from the whiskey, but he wasn't judging. He was just waiting. Maybe he'd been in my shoes before. Maybe he'd seen it 100 times in other people. The quiet aftermath of a betrayal, when the pieces didn't fit anymore, and you couldn't even figure out what to do with the mess. "Do you want to call her?" he asked, leaning against the counter. I shook my head. Not yet. We'd barely spoken since I got to Oregon, just drinking and sitting in silence, letting the hours pass. But now, with that message, everything felt real again. Everything felt like it had to be dealt with. Like I couldn't run anymore, not even to the end of the earth. The truth had found me, even here. I pulled my coat on and grabbed my keys. "I'm going to see her," I said quietly. "But I'm not going back. Not yet." Parker didn't argue. He just nodded. "Do it your way." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if I even had a way. But I had to see her. I had to hear it from her mouth. Whatever it was she wanted to tell me, whatever she thought would make this better. I wasn't sure I could believe it, but I needed to hear it. The drive back was long. The road stretches between here, and they're growing longer with every mile. I didn't turn on the radio. Didn't look at my phone. I just drove. I arrived at the house just as the sun began to set, casting an eerie orange light across the driveway. The place didn't look like home anymore. The white picket fence was chipped. The front porch light flickered like a dying flame. I stepped out of the car, my stomach twisting into tight knots. I wasn't sure what I was expecting when I walked through that door. I didn't even know if I was ready to hear the truth. I didn't know if it would help. But I couldn't live like this, floating between hurt and confusion, never knowing if we were still the same two people who once loved each other. The door opened before I could even knock. Ray stood there, her eyes red and swollen, looking like she hadn't slept in days. She looked broken. The kind of broken that comes when you realize your mistakes are too big to fix with apologies. When you know the damage you've done can't be wiped away with a few good conversations. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. She stepped aside to let me in, but I hesitated at the threshold. I wasn't sure I wanted to go in. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave, just keep walking until I couldn't hear her voice anymore. But I stepped inside. "Sit down," she said, motioning to the couch, her hands trembling. I sat. She sat beside me, but the space between us felt like miles. We were so close, yet I couldn't feel her anymore. Not the way I used to. She wasn't the woman I had fallen in love with. That woman was gone, replaced by a stranger who made decisions in the heat of the moment without thinking about the consequences. "I don't know what happened," she said, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "I don't know why I did it. I didn't plan it. It just happened." I didn't say anything. I just waited for her to keep talking, to keep justifying. She would try. I knew that. She would tell me it was a mistake, that she didn't mean it, that it wasn't about me, it was about her. But I already knew. I had already seen the truth, and the truth wasn't something she could explain away with words. "It was one night," she continued, her voice breaking. "Just one night. I thought it would make me feel free, like I could be myself. And I thought if I just did it, I'd be better for you. That it would make me feel more like your wife again, more like someone you could be proud of." I closed my eyes. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I didn't even know what to say. "I thought I could get it out of my system," she said, her voice cracking now. "But it was a mistake, Jamie. It was a huge mistake. I should never have done it. I know that now. I needed to feel something. I thought if I could just live a little, I would be a better wife to you. But I realize now how wrong I was." I didn't say anything. I just listened. I couldn't do this. I couldn't listen to her explain why she thought cheating was a solution to her problems. The words didn't even make sense anymore. But then, she said something that stopped me cold. "I've been talking to someone. Someone from work. Someone I used to care about. I didn't think it would get this far, but it did. And I think you need to know everything." The air between us was thick with what had just been revealed. She sat there, still, with her hands folded tightly in her lap, as if she were trying to hold herself together, but the pieces were scattered all over the floor. The weight of what she had said hung in the room like a dense fog. I could barely breathe. I didn't know if I wanted to scream, to run, or to just disappear into the floorboards and never come up. But the worst part? It wasn't the betrayal. No, that had already sunk in deep. It was the fact that she still didn't get it. She was sitting here, across from me, trying to justify her actions with words that didn't fit together. Every sentence she spoke seemed like a more elaborate excuse for why she'd decided to tear apart everything we'd built. I thought about the years we had spent together, the life we'd created, and I realized how easily she had thrown it all away. I can't believe you're telling me this now, I finally said, my voice hoarse from holding back all the anger I hadn't yet let out. You're still telling me about things you did behind my back like it's some kind of confession I should just accept? Her eyes welled with tears, and I saw her lips quiver as she tried to speak, but no words came out. I could see that she was sorry. I could see that she was truly broken by her actions, but the problem wasn't her regret. The problem was that she thought her apology would fix things. She thought that if she said the right words, everything would go back to normal. But I couldn't forget what she'd done. Not yet. I never wanted to hurt you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I just thought that if I could feel alive for a second, I'd be able to come back to you. I thought it would make me whole again, Jamie. Her voice cracked, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. But then I remembered what she had done, what she had chosen to do, how she had gone out with the intention of escaping her life, of finding some temporary relief in someone else's arms, without even thinking about the damage she was causing. How she hadn't even considered how I would feel or what it would do to us. You've broken me, Ray, I said, the words coming out bitterly. But I think you've broken yourself, too. And now you want me to fix it. You want me to forgive you just like that? She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. No, I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I don't expect you to do anything. I just want you to understand that I was lost. I was lost, and I thought I could find something outside of us. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. What was there to say? How do you tell someone that they've thrown away everything you believed in, everything you thought was real, and still expect them to hold on to you like nothing happened? My phone buzzed, interrupting the silence. I glanced at it. It was a call from an unknown number. I looked at Ray. I need to take this, I said, standing up abruptly. Her eyes followed me, and I could see the fear creeping back into her expression. But I couldn't focus on her anymore. I couldn't even focus on the mess we were in. I needed clarity. I needed answers. And whatever this call was, it had to be more important than the conversation we were having right now. I stepped outside onto the porch, letting the cool night air bite at my skin. I swiped to answer the call. Hello, I said, trying to sound calm, but my voice was still rough from the conversation I'd just had. The voice on the other end was low, almost inaudible. Jamie, this is David. I think we need to talk. I froze. My heart stopped. David, her colleague, the man she had mentioned earlier, the one she had said was nothing, just a work friend, the same man who had apparently crossed some line with her when she was drunk, according to her. But now he was calling me. Why? What do you want, David? I asked, my pulse quickening. I wasn't ready for this. I think you need to hear the whole story, he said, his voice trembling. There's more to this than she's telling you. I clenched my fist. My body tensed. But I didn't hang up. I needed to know. Go on, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. David took a deep breath before he spoke again, and this time his words hit me like a punch. Ray didn't just sleep with me, he said. She did something far worse. She asked me to keep it a secret, and when I told her I couldn't, she threatened me. She said if I told you, she would ruin me. She would ruin both of us. I could feel my stomach twist as his words settled into my bones. What the hell was he talking about? What had she said to him? How deep did this go? I didn't want to be involved in this, David continued, his voice quiet. But I think you need to know what she's really capable of. She's not who you think she is, Jamie. I felt my grip on the phone tighten. Every word he spoke, every sentence, felt like the walls of my life were crashing down around me. I'll meet you tomorrow. You need to hear the rest of this in person, David said before hanging up abruptly. I stood there, frozen, the cold air swirling around me. My mind raced, trying to make sense of everything David had said. What was Ray hiding? What had she done that she didn't want me to know? I went back inside to find her sitting on the couch, still waiting for my reaction, still expecting me to be the same man who would forgive her because she said she was sorry. But I wasn't that man anymore. And now, I was going to uncover everything. no matter how much it hurt. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. My mind wouldn't stop racing, flicking between images of Ray and what David had said. Every part of me was screaming to confront her right away, to demand answers. But I knew that would be too easy. It wouldn't give me the truth. I wasn't interested in just her apology anymore. I wanted to see how far this went, how deep the lies had really sunk. The meeting with David was set for the next day, a small, nondescript coffee shop on the edge of town. He had insisted on a public place, probably because he knew how much damage his words were capable of. I'd been to that cafe 100 times, but this time, the smell of coffee and freshly baked pastries felt suffocating. The air was thick with tension, like everything in the world had already shifted beneath me, and this conversation would be the final crack that split everything wide open. David was already sitting when I arrived, looking out the window, fiddling with a napkin like he was waiting for me to approach. He looked like he hadn't slept either. His hair was disheveled, and he was staring off into the distance, avoiding eye contact. I walked up and sat down across from him. His eyes darted to mine briefly, then back down to the table. "David," I said quietly, my voice almost a whisper. "Tell me what else I don't know." He took a deep breath and pushed his coffee cup aside. For a moment, I thought he might back out, but then he finally spoke, his voice low but steady. "Ray didn't just want to sleep with me, Jamie," he said, his hands shaking slightly. "She wanted a way out. She felt like you were trapping her in this perfect little box where she couldn't breathe. So, when she came to me that night, it wasn't just about sex. She told me that if I didn't go along with it, if I didn't keep her secret, she'd make sure I paid. She had leverage." I blinked, trying to process his words. "Leverage? What do you mean?" David shifted in his seat, clearly uncomfortable. "She told me about you, about how you were always hovering, always controlling her every move. She said you were suffocating her. And then, she said she needed to feel something outside of that. She said you were too good, too nice, and that it made her feel trapped." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman I'd loved for so long, the woman I had thought was my partner in everything, was speaking about me this way to him? Had she been telling him this for months, years even? Was I really that blind to what she was thinking? "She told me," David continued, his eyes not meeting mine, "that if I didn't keep quiet, if I didn't help her, she'd destroy me. She said she would find a way to ruin me at work. She'd tell everyone I pressured her into things she didn't want. She knew I had a wife and kids, Jamie. She knew my whole life. She said I'd never get a job again if I didn't play along." That hit me like a freight train. She was playing a game of power with him, using every bit of her influence, using me as the pawn without even telling me. I had been blind, unable to see that this wasn't just about one bad decision. This was something far bigger than just cheating. She had manipulated him. She had used fear to trap him into a corner. And that was how she had been living, manipulating everything. "Did she ever tell you why?" I asked, my throat tight with disbelief. David paused, running his fingers through his hair before finally meeting my eyes. "She said it was because she didn't know how to be loved anymore, Jamie. She was convinced that the only way she could feel alive again was by breaking free. She told me that she had no idea how to escape you, how to escape the perfect life you gave her." I didn't know how to respond. This wasn't the woman I had married. This wasn't the woman I had built my life around. Ray had always been the one I'd trusted, the one who had my back. And now, sitting across from David, hearing about how she had destroyed every shred of trust we had, it felt like my whole world was crumbling. "You're telling me she's been using you to manipulate me?" I said, the words slipping out in a bitter laugh. "That I was just a part of her game?" David winced, but didn't deny it. "I'm not trying to defend her, Jamie. I'm not. I just thought you needed to know everything. I didn't want to be part of her plan anymore. It was never about love for her, man. It was about control. And when she realized she didn't have it with you anymore, she started looking for it elsewhere." I sat back in my chair, feeling the weight of what he was saying pressed down on my chest. She wasn't just unfaithful. She wasn't just trying to escape. Ray had been playing me, manipulating me into thinking everything was fine while she plotted how to break free. She had wanted power, not love. And when she couldn't get it from me, she turned to someone else. "I don't know what to do with this," I said softly, the reality of it sinking in. "I don't know how to fix this." David didn't answer immediately. He just stared at his cup, swirling the liquid around like he was trying to find the right words. Then, He looked up and said something that hit me like a slap to the face. You don't fix it, Jamie. You just decide if you're willing to walk away. Because if you stay, you're going to spend the rest of your life wondering if she'll ever stop. The next few days were like walking through a fog. I went back to the house, but everything felt wrong. The bed we used to share felt like a prison now. The same place where I used to lie next to her and feel her heartbeat. But now it was just a cold, empty space. There was no warmth between us anymore. Just the remnants of something that had long since died. I hadn't spoken to Ray since David's call. She was trying to reach me, sending texts and leaving voicemails, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. The text I had gotten from her, the one asking for me to come home, it kept haunting me. I kept going over it in my mind, asking myself if I even cared anymore. Could I trust her again? Could I ever look at her the same way after everything I had learned? I couldn't be with her, not yet. I needed space. I needed to understand what I was feeling. But she didn't understand that. Ray wasn't the type of person who dealt with silence well. She was a doer, a fixer, or at least, that's what she liked to think. So, she showed up at the house unexpectedly. I was sitting on the couch, nursing a drink, just trying to clear my head, when I heard the knock on the door. I froze. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready for the confrontation that I knew would happen. But I had to face it. It was inevitable. I opened the door, and there she was, standing on the threshold with her eyes red and swollen from crying. She looked fragile, like a broken doll that could shatter if you touched her too hard. Her hands were trembling, and she was clutching a bag tightly, as though it was the only thing holding her together. Jamie, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I need to talk to you. Please. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. I just stepped aside and let her in, though every part of me wanted to slam the door and walk away. But I couldn't. I couldn't walk away from this just yet. She didn't sit down immediately. Instead, she paced back and forth in front of me, her fingers twisting in her hair like she couldn't sit still. I could see it now, the desperation in her eyes. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She wasn't begging for my love. She was just trying to fix it, trying to make the mess she'd made go away. But you can't fix betrayal like this. You can't just say, I'm sorry, and expect everything to go back to normal. I don't know how to make this right, Jamie, she said, stopping in front of me, her voice shaking. I don't know how to explain what happened, but I want to. I need to. I need you to know it wasn't because I didn't love you. I don't know what I was thinking. I just got lost. Her words didn't hit me like they used to. They didn't soften my heart like they had in the past. Now, they felt like hollow promises, empty words that meant nothing. She had been lost, but I had been there, right in front of her, waiting. And she had turned away from me to find comfort in someone else. I'm not the person you think I am anymore, she continued, her eyes filled with tears. I know that. I know I've destroyed everything. But please, Jamie, I need you to understand that I didn't want this. I didn't want to hurt you. I never did. I looked at her, trying to find the woman I had married, the woman I had trusted. But she wasn't there. All I saw now was a stranger. Someone who had deceived me in the worst way possible. I'm not asking you to forgive me right now, she said, her voice breaking. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. That I will do anything to fix this. Please. I need to feel like you still care. Like you haven't completely given up on me. I stood up slowly, walking over to the window. The sunlight was fading, casting long shadows over the room. I couldn't look at her. I couldn't bear to see the woman who had destroyed me standing there, begging for my forgiveness. Do you understand, Ray? I asked quietly, turning to face her. Do you really understand what you've done? You've taken everything. Everything we had, everything I trusted. And you just threw it away. For what? She looked at me, the silence between us stretching like an endless chasm. I thought it was what I needed. I thought it would fix something in me, but it only made things worse. I know I messed up, Jamie. I know I betrayed you, and I can't take that back. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. No, you can't. You can't undo what's been done. You can't just ask me to pretend it didn't happen, Ray. It's too much. You hurt me, and you hurt us. I don't know if I can fix it. She reached out then, desperate. Jamie, please don't say that. I'm not asking for everything to be the same. I just want a chance to show you I can be better, that I can be the woman you wanted me to be. Please don't give up on us. I didn't respond. I couldn't. The words were stuck in my throat. And for a moment, I thought about everything she had said, about the way she had tried to explain her betrayal. But there was nothing left to say. I didn't know if I could ever see her the same way again. I didn't know if I could ever trust her. As she stood there, waiting for an answer, I realized something. Ray was looking for redemption. She was looking for a way to absolve herself of the guilt she had built up inside her. But redemption doesn't come easy. It doesn't come with empty apologies or promises to change. It comes with actions. And Ray had already shown me who she really was. I need time, Ray, I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. I need time to figure out if I can ever forgive you. And if I can't, then we're done. Her face fell, and for a moment, I saw the raw fear in her eyes. But she didn't beg anymore. She just nodded, the weight of the situation finally hitting her. She turned to leave, but before she walked out the door, she said one last thing. I'm sorry. For everything. And then she was gone. It's strange how silence can feel louder than any argument. I had spent so much time trying to process everything, so much time running from what had happened, that when the quiet finally hit, I realized something. I had been avoiding the truth that I didn't need Ray to feel complete. I didn't need her lies. I didn't need her betrayal to define who I was. The next morning, I woke up to find the house still and empty. The spot beside me was cold, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of relief. It wasn't about being free of Ray, not entirely. It was about being free of the weight I had been carrying. The constant self-doubt, the questions I couldn't answer, the constant wondering if I could forgive her, if I should forgive her. I had gone over it again and again in my head, and the conclusion was clear. I had to let go. But letting go didn't mean I had to hate her. It didn't mean I had to wish her ill or carry the bitterness with me for the rest of my life. It just meant that I had to take a step forward, without her, and find peace within myself. I sent Ray a message that morning, just as the sun began to rise, casting a soft glow over the empty rooms of our house. The message was simple. I've decided, Ray. I'm letting you go. But I'm not angry. I just need to move on. I hope you find peace, just like I am. I didn't expect a reply, and I didn't need one. The next few weeks were a blur. There were moments when I thought about Ray, moments when I almost picked up the phone to call her, to ask how she was, to apologize for all the silence. But I didn't. I realized I had nothing left to say to her. I had already said goodbye, and I didn't need closure to make me feel whole again. I started making small changes, things I'd always wanted to do but had put off. I enrolled in a photography class. I started cooking new recipes for myself. I even adopted a dog, a goofy golden retriever named Max, who immediately became my shadow. And then, one evening, as I was walking Max in the park, I bumped into someone I didn't expect to see. Jamie. It was Mara, an old friend from work. She looked surprised to see me, but there was something in her eyes that made me pause. She was smiling, but it wasn't the awkward smile of someone unsure. It was the kind of smile that made me realize that, maybe, just maybe, I had been waiting for someone like her to come along. We chatted for a while, and I found myself laughing again. Really laughing. The kind of laugh that didn't feel forced, that didn't carry the weight of betrayal or sadness. It felt natural, easy. We exchanged numbers that night. And as I walked home with Max trotting happily beside me, I realized something important. I had learned a lot about myself over the last few months. I had learned that my happiness wasn't tied to someone else, that I didn't need to stay in a relationship that had broken me, just because I was scared of moving on. Ray had made her choice, and now I was making mine. But this time, I was choosing to move forward, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with hope. Hope that I could rebuild, that I could find happiness in myself again. And maybe, just maybe, find it with someone else. As I looked up at the stars that night, I took a deep breath and let go of the last remnants of pain. Because I realized that I didn't need Ray to feel complete. I didn't need her mistakes to define my future. I was finally free.